The transport ship descended through the clouds of Station Prime and pressed her face against the window like a child seeing snow for the first time. Below her, the Galactic Unity Academy stretched across an artificial moon, its towers reaching up like silver fingers pointing at the stars. Lights of 100 different colors blinked across its surface. Ships of strange shapes moved in and out of its docking bays. She had dreamed of this place since she was 12 years old. Back then, she had been a girl sitting in a small apartment inn, watching the night sky and wondering what lived out there among the stars. Now she was 22, and she was about to find out. The ship shuddered as it landed, grabbed her bag, a simple thing made of canvas that held everything she owned. Around her, other passengers began to move toward the exit. She noticed that none of them looked human. One had skin like polished glass. Another floated instead of walked. A third had too many arms to count easily. She was the only human on this ship. The doors opened and stepped onto the platform. The air smelled different here. Cleaner somehow, but also strange. Like flowers she had never seen mixed with something metallic. She took a deep breath and walked forward. The registration building was enormous. Its ceiling reached so high that could barely see the top. Beings of every shape and size moved through the space, their voices creating a sound like music played on instruments she did not recognize. Some walked on 2 legs. Some walked on 4. Some did not walk at all but moved in ways she could not understand. Join the line for new students. The beings around her gave her strange looks. She noticed them stepping away, creating a small circle of empty space around her. She did not understand why. When she reached the front of the line, she found herself facing a being made of what looked like living crystal. The being was beautiful in a way that made its chest hurt. Light moved through its body like water through glass. "Name and planet of origin," the being said. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. "Earth." The crystal being stopped moving. For a long moment, it simply stared at her with eyes that were like diamonds catching the light. "Earth," the being repeated. "Category 9 Sol System." "Yes," said. She did not know what Category 9 meant, but she did not like the way the being said it. The crystal being turned to a screen beside it and began to type. As it did, noticed that other staff members were looking at her. They whispered to each other in languages she could not understand. Some of them backed away from the desk. "There must be a mistake," the crystal being said. "No species from a Category 9 world has ever applied to this academy." "There is no mistake," said. "I passed all the entrance exams. I have my acceptance letter here." She pulled out the letter and placed it on the desk. The crystal being picked it up carefully as if it might explode. It read the letter 3 times. Then it read it a 4th time. "This is genuine," the being said. Its voice had changed. It sounded afraid now. "You are really from Earth." "Yes," said again. She was beginning to feel uncomfortable. "Is that a problem?" The crystal being did not answer. Instead, it pressed a button on its desk and spoke quickly in a language did not know. Within minutes, 3 more beings arrived. They wore different colors, and they moved with the confidence of people in charge. One of them was tall and thin, with skin the color of midnight and eyes that glowed soft gold. Another was short and round, covered in what looked like soft fur the color of autumn leaves. The third looked almost like a human, but its skin was pale blue and it had no hair at all. They all stared at. "She is real," the crystal being said to them. "A human from Earth." The tall one with the golden eyes stepped forward. "I am High Instructor. I oversee new student admissions. May I ask you some questions?" "Of course," said. "Your," began speaking slowly, "has a gravity of 1.0 standard units. Is that correct?" "I do not know what standard units are," admitted. "But Earth has normal gravity, nothing special." The beings around her exchanged looks, saw something in their eyes that she did not expect: fear. 1.0 standard gravity is considered extremely heavy, explained. Most species cannot survive in such conditions for more than a few minutes. It would crush their bodies. Blinked, she had never thought of Earth's gravity as heavy. It was just gravity, the thing that kept her feet on the ground. Your atmosphere, continued, contains a gas called oxygen at 21% concentration. Were you aware that oxygen is highly corrosive? It damages organic tissue over time. Most species cannot breathe it without dying. I breathe oxygen, said slowly. All humans do, it keeps us alive. The short, furry being made a sound like a small animal choking. The blue-skinned one took a step backward. Your planet's surface receives unfiltered radiation from your star, said. The levels would be lethal to most known species within hours of exposure. We call that sunlight, said. We need it. It feels nice on the skin. Nobody spoke for a long moment. Turned to the other instructors. They had a quick conversation in their language, their voices low and fast. Waited, her bag growing heavy on her shoulder. She did not understand what was happening. She had passed all the tests. She had earned her place here. Why were they acting like she was some kind of monster? Finally turned back to her. The fear in his golden eyes had not gone away, but there was something else there now. Curiosity, perhaps, or wonder. Miss, he said, it appears that your species is something of a scientific impossibility. Your world should have killed you. Everything about it is designed to destroy life. And yet here you stand, healthy and whole, asking to study among us. Earth is my home, said simply. It is not easy to live there, I suppose, but it is beautiful, and we learn to survive. Survive, repeated. Yes, I think you did more than survive. I think your species learned to thrive in conditions that would be considered hell by any other measure. He looked at her for a long moment, and then he did something strange. He bowed. It was a small bow, but it meant something. Could see that in the way the other beings reacted. Welcome to the Galactic Unity Academy, Miss said. You are our first student from a Category 9. I suspect you will not be our last. Your dormitory will be in the reinforced wing. It was built long ago for a species that no longer exists. We believe it will support your requirements. He handed her a small device that glowed with soft light. This will guide you to your room. Classes begin tomorrow. I suggest you rest. And miss. Yes. Please be careful. You are stronger than you know. What feels gentle to you may be dangerous to others. Took the device and nodded. She did not fully understand his warning, but she would remember it. She walked away from the registration desk, feeling the eyes of 100 beings on her back. The dormitory was far from the main buildings, tucked away in a corner of the academy that seemed older than the rest. The walls were thicker here. The floor felt solid beneath her feet in a way that the other floors had not. Her room was small but clean. A bed, a desk, a window that looked out at the stars. Put her bag down and sat on the bed. The mattress held her weight easily. She thought about what it said. Category 9, crushing gravity, poisonous air, deadly radiation. Was Earth really that dangerous? She had never thought of it that way. To her, Earth was home. It was the smell of rain on hot pavement. It was the sound of waves crashing on the shore. It was her grandmother's cooking and her father's laugh and the feeling of grass between her toes. But to everyone else in the galaxy, Earth was a nightmare, a place where only monsters could survive. And now one of those monsters was sitting in a dormitory room, looking at the stars, wondering what tomorrow would bring. Smiled. She had come here to learn. She had come here to grow. She had come here to prove that humanity deserved a place among the stars. She would not let them down. His first morning at the academy began with confusion. She woke up to the sound of a gentle chime, a reminder that classes would start in 2 hours. She stretched, got out of bed, and went to find the bathroom. The halls were empty at this hour, lit by soft lights that changed color as she walked past. She found the common area of her dormitory wing. It was large and comfortable, with seats of various shapes designed for bodies very different from her own. There was a food station in the corner, but when she approached it, the machine made a worried sound and displayed a message she could not read. "It says it does not have food for your species," said a voice behind her. Turned to find a young man standing in the doorway. He was human like her. He had messy black hair and a wide smile that seemed too big for his face. He wore the same student uniform she had been given, but his was already wrinkled. He said. "I am also from Earth, Korea specifically." She replied, "From." Smile grew even wider. "Neighbors, this is wonderful. I thought I would be alone here. Come, I found a food station that works for us. It is on the other side of the building. They had to special order it." He led her through a maze of corridors. As they walked, noticed other students in the halls. They all moved out of the way when they saw the two humans coming. Some pressed themselves against the walls. Others simply stared. "They are scared of us," said cheerfully. "I find it funny. Yesterday I tried to shake hands with a student, to be friendly. I squeezed too hard and broke his ceremonial bracelet. He screamed like I had attacked him. I felt terrible, but also, I barely touched him." Frowned. "We need to be careful. High instructor warned me about this. We are stronger than we realize." "Stronger than we realize," repeated. "Yes, I am beginning to understand. Did you know that most species here cannot handle our gravity? They would die on Earth within minutes. Can you imagine? All those aliens we saw in movies when we were kids coming to invade our planet. They would collapse the moment they stepped outside their ships." He laughed at his own joke, smiled despite herself, was loud and careless, but there was something honest about him that she liked. They found the human food station and ate breakfast together. The food was not quite right. Rice that tasted slightly off, vegetables that were the wrong color, but it was enough. They would survive. The first class of the day was called physical calibration. According to the schedule, all new students were required to attend. The purpose was to measure each species' physical abilities so that the academy systems could adjust to their needs. The training hall was enormous. Its ceiling was so high they could not see it. The floor was divided into sections, each one glowing a different color. Students from dozens of species stood in groups, waiting for instructions. Found a spot near the back. Stood beside her, still talking about something she was only half listening to. She was too busy watching the other students. They were all so different, so strange. And yet they were here for the same reason she was, to learn, to grow. An instructor entered the hall. He was tall and with 4 arms and compound eyes that seemed to look everywhere at once. His wings folded neatly behind his back. "I am instructor," he said. His voice buzzed slightly like a bee trapped in a jar. "Today we will establish your physical baselines. Each of you will enter the calibration zone when called. The floor will adjust to your gravity. You will perform simple movements. Walk, lift, carry. The machines will record everything." The students began to move forward one by one, watched with interest. The went first. They were beautiful beings, almost transparent, with bodies that seemed to be made of light. When they entered the calibration zone, the floor glowed softly, and they floated like dandelion seeds in the wind. Their gravity was only 0.3 standard. They moved with grace and elegance, dancing through the air. Next came They had 4 arms and hard shells covering their bodies. Their gravity was 0.6 standard. They moved quickly, their many hands working in perfect coordination. Then They were beings of pure light, communicating through patterns and colors. They did not walk at all. They simply drifted, leaving trails of brightness behind them. Each species demonstrated their abilities. Each one was recorded. The machines hummed with data. Finally, instructor looked at his list and paused. His compound eyes focused on the human delegation, he said. "Please step forward." Walked toward the calibration zone. She felt every eye in the hall on her. beside her, bounced on his heels with nervous energy. "Your gravity is 1.0 standard," instructor said. He read the number twice as if he did not believe it. "The floor will now adjust." The calibration zone began to change. The glow shifted from soft blue to deep red. There was a sound like metal groaning under pressure. And then the gravity changed. Felt nothing. The gravity was exactly what she had lived with her entire life. It was normal. It was comfortable. She took a step forward to begin the test. Behind her, chaos erupted. Students were falling. The crash to the ground, their transparent bodies crumpling like paper. The collapsed, their shells cracking against the floor. Even the flickered and dimmed, their lights struggling against the invisible weight pressing down on everything. Instructor's wings crumpled. He fell to his knees, his compound eyes wide with panic. His mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. Emergency alarms screamed through the hall. Red lights flashed. Automated voices shouted warnings in a dozen languages. Paused mid-stride. She stood in the center of the calibration zone, confused and frightened. All around her, beings were struggling to survive. The floor shook. The walls groaned. The Academy's very structure seemed to protest against the weight of Earth's gravity. And just stood there, perfectly fine, not even breathing hard. "Turn it off," someone screamed. "Turn off the gravity." Did not wait for the machines. She walked back, her steps careful and slow. As she moved away from the center, the calibration zone began to shrink. The gravity field collapsed behind her, and the normal lightness returned to the hall. Students gasped with relief. Some cried. A few did not move at all, too stunned or too hurt to respond. Instructor lay on the ground, his 4 arms spread wide, knelt beside him and offered her hand. She remembered story about the bracelet. She was careful, so careful. She pulled the instructor to his feet with one hand. He weighed almost nothing to her. "I am sorry," she said. "I did not realize it would affect everyone else." Instructor stared at her. His compound eyes held 1,000 emotions. Fear, yes, but also something else. Something she could not name. "The calibration zone was 20 meters wide," he said slowly. "The gravity field should not have extended beyond it, but the floor, the Academy's structure, it could not contain your gravity. It spread. It tried to crush everything." Did not know what to say. She had simply stood there. She had done nothing. And yet she had nearly killed everyone in the room. The other students were evacuating now, helped by medical staff who had arrived from somewhere. They all looked at as they left. Their eyes held fear and wonder in equal measure. Appeared at her side. His uniform was dirty, and there was a small cut on his forehead, but he was smiling. "Well," he said, "that was something." "I could have killed them," whispered. "I almost killed all of them." "But you did not," replied. "You stopped, you helped, that is what matters." Instructor straightened himself. His wings were damaged, hanging at odd angles, but he held himself with dignity. "The footage of this incident will spread through the Academy network within the hour," he said. "By tomorrow, every student and instructor will know what happened here. They will know what you are." "What am I?" asked. The instructor considered the question for a long moment. "You are a reminder," he said finally. "A reminder that the galaxy is larger and stranger than we imagined. A reminder that survival takes many forms. A reminder that what seems impossible is sometimes simply something we have not seen before." He bowed to her, the same small bow that High Instructor had given. "Welcome to the Academy of Earth. I suspect your education here will be memorable for all of us." He turned and walked away, his damaged wings dragging behind him. Stood in the empty hall, surrounded by the scattered debris of the chaos she had caused. The red lights had stopped flashing. The alarms had gone silent, but the echo of what had happened remained. She had come here to learn. She had come here to prove herself. Instead, she had shown the galaxy something it had never seen before. A girl from a standing in gravity that crushed everything else, looking confused about what all the fuss was about. Put his hand on her shoulder. "Come on," he said gently. "Let us find something to eat. I think we earned it." Nodded, she followed him out of the hall, leaving the empty calibration zone behind. Tomorrow everything would be different. The galaxy would know about her, about them, about what humans were. She did not know if she was ready for that. But ready or not, it was coming. The footage spread faster than anyone expected. By the next morning, every screen in the academy showed the same images. Standing in the calibration zone, students collapsing around her, the structure of the building itself groaning under the weight of Earth's gravity. And through it all, the human girl just stood there, confused and unharmed, as if nothing unusual was happening. The comments came in thousands. Some were curious, some were frightened, many were angry. "Should not be allowed here," one said. "They are too dangerous." "Did you see her lift instructor with one hand, one hand?" This academy has stood for 3,000 cycles. Now it nearly collapsed because of one human. One. Stayed in her dormitory that day. She did not want to face the stares, the whispers, the fear. Brought her food from the human station and sat with her, trying to cheer her up with bad jokes and stories from his childhood. "When I was 10, he said, I accidentally broke my teacher's desk by leaning on it too hard. The whole thing just collapsed. Everyone thought I was showing off, but I was just tired. I wanted to take a nap." Smiled a little, but her heart was not in it. She kept thinking about the students who had fallen, the ones who had been hurt, the look in their eyes when they saw her standing there, untouched by the gravity that had nearly killed them. On the third day, the summons came. High Instructor appeared at her door personally. His crystalline body glowed with soft light, and his voice was gentle when he spoke. "The Academic Council has called a special session," he said. "They wish to discuss the presence of humans at this academy. Your attendance is required." Nodded. She had expected this. Part of her had been waiting for it. She followed through the corridors of the academy. Students stopped and stared as she passed. Some moved away quickly, pressing themselves against walls. Others watched with something like hunger in their eyes, as if she was a puzzle they wanted to solve. The council chamber was located in the heart of the academy. It was a circular room with seats arranged in rising rows, like an ancient theater. At the center was a small platform where those being judged would stand. "Walk to the platform alone." The council members sat above her, looking down. There were 12 of them, each representing a different species, each wearing robes of office that marked their authority. High Instructor took his seat among them. At the head of the council sat a being unlike any had seen before. It was massive, filling a chair designed for something 3 times her size. Its skin was like stone, gray and rough, and its eyes burned with an inner fire. "I am Council Head," the being said. Its voice was deep, like thunder rolling across mountains. "I have led this academy for 800 cycles. In all that time, I have never called a special session for a single student." Said nothing. She waited. "You are human," continued. "From Earth, a Category 9, your species was unknown to us until recently. Your world is one of the most hostile environments in the known galaxy. And yet here you stand, asking to be educated alongside species that would die within minutes on your planet." "Yes," said simply. "The incident in the physical calibration hall has raised serious concerns. Your presence creates risks that this academy was not designed to handle. The structural damage alone will take weeks to repair. Several students remain in medical care." Felt the weight of those words. She had hurt people, not on purpose, but the result was the same. "I am sorry for what happened," she said. "I did not know my gravity would spread like that. I did not know it would hurt anyone." "That is precisely the problem," said another council member. This one was small and covered in fur, with large eyes that seemed to see everything. You do not know your own strength. You do not understand your own danger. How can we allow you to remain when your very existence is a threat? Opened her mouth to respond, but before she could speak, another voice cut through the chamber. May I address the council? Everyone turned. A woman walked down the aisle between the seats, her steps steady and confident. She was human, older than Anne, with gray streaking through her black hair and lines around her eyes that spoke of years spent fighting for things that mattered. I am ambassador, the woman said. I represent the human delegation at this academy. I am here to speak on behalf of my species. Council head studied her for a long moment, then he nodded. You may speak. Ambassador took her place beside on the platform. She stood straight, her shoulders back, her eyes meeting each council member directly. You built this academy to unite species, she began. You built it on the belief that understanding between different forms of life was possible, that education could bridge the gaps between worlds, that learning together could create peace where isolation had created fear. She paused, letting her words settle. Now you consider removing us because we are different, because we are stronger than you expected, because we survived where others would have died. The furry council member shifted in its seat. It is not about difference. It is about danger. Your student nearly killed dozens of our children. She did not kill anyone, Ambassador replied calmly. She stopped. She helped. She lifted instructor to his feet and apologized for something she did not even understand. Is that the behavior of a monster? Is that the action of a species that should be feared? No one answered. Earth is a hard world, continued. Your records call it and perhaps they are right. Our gravity crushes, our atmosphere burns, our star kills. Everything about our home is designed to destroy life, and yet we exist. We built cities, we created art, we learned to love and dream and hope. She turned slowly, looking at each council member in turn. We did not become monsters, we became survivors, and survivors know something that comfortable species forget. We know the value of every life. We know what it means to struggle. We know that strength means nothing if it is not used to help others. Council head leaned forward. His stone face was unreadable, but his burning eyes were fixed on the ambassador. Pretty words, he said, but words do not repair damaged structures. Words do not heal injured students. No, agreed, but actions do. Anne's first action when she understood what was happening was to stop, to help, to apologize. Those are the instincts of a protector, not a destroyer. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. She pressed a button, and images appeared in the air above the platform. These are the records from the calibration hall, she said. Watch them carefully. The council watched. They saw the gravity change. They saw the students fall. And they saw, standing in the center of it all, looking around with confusion and concern. They saw her walk back, careful and slow, reducing the gravity field with each step. They saw her kneel beside instructor and help him up with gentle hands. She could have panicked, said. She could have run, she could have frozen, but she did none of those things. She saw people in trouble and she helped them. That is who we are. That is what Earth taught us to be. The images faded. The chamber was silent. Council head sat back in his massive chair. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he turned to the other council members and spoke in a language did not understand. They discussed among themselves, their voices rising and falling in patterns she could not follow. Finally, turned back to face the two humans. The council has reached a decision, he said. The human delegation will be allowed to remain at this academy. Felt something release in her chest, relief, hope. However, continued, new protocols will be implemented. Structural reinforcements will be installed in areas where humans will be present. Separate physical training will be required. Warning systems will activate when humans enter zones designed for lower gravity species. He paused, and for the first time, something like respect entered his voice. You are right, Ambassador. This academy was built to unite species. To exclude you because you are different would betray everything we claim to believe. But you must understand, you are the first of your kind to walk among us. We do not know what to expect. Ambassador bowed slightly. We will learn together. That is why we are here. Nodded slowly. Yes, I suppose it is. The council session ended. Walked out of the chamber beside Ambassador, feeling lighter than she had in days. Thank you, she said quietly. Smiled. You earned your place here. All I did was remind them of that. Now the real work begins. You are not just a student anymore. You are an example. Everything you do, every choice you make, will shape how this galaxy sees humanity. Thought about that. It was a heavy responsibility, but somehow it did not feel like a burden. It felt like a chance to show the stars what humans could be. She would not waste it. 3 months passed at the Galactic Unity Academy, and slowly, things began to change. The fear did not disappear completely. Students still moved out of its way in the corridors. Instructors still watched her carefully during classes, but the fear became something else over time: curiosity, interest, sometimes even admiration. Studied hard. She learned the histories of a dozen species. She studied the science of star travel and the art of diplomacy between worlds. She practiced writing in 3 different alien languages and learned to recognize the emotional signals of species that communicated through color, sound, and movement. Remained her closest friend. He was loud where she was quiet, confident where she was careful. Together, they balanced each other. He made her laugh. She kept him from breaking things. Ambassador watched over both of them like a protective aunt. She met with them every week to check on their progress, to offer advice, to remind them that they were representing all of humanity with every action they took. You are doing well, she told them one evening. The reports from your instructors are positive. You are learning. You are adapting. You are showing them that we are not just survivors. We are thinkers, creators, friends. Smiled. It felt good to hear those words, but she still worried. She still remembered the calibration hall. She still saw the faces of the students who had fallen because of her. She never wanted that to happen again. Then the crisis came. It happened on a normal day in the middle of the afternoon. Was in her advanced navigation class, learning about the paths between star systems, when the alarm started screaming. Red lights flashed. Automated voices shouted warnings. Students looked at each other with confusion and fear. Reactor malfunction in Section 7, the voice announced. Radiation leak detected. Gravity stabilizers failing. All personnel evacuate immediately. Section 7 was the engineering wing of the academy. It housed the reactors that powered the entire station. It was also where several classes were being held at that moment. 47 students, 12 instructors trapped. Stood from her desk. Her instructor, a gentle being made of flowing water, was trying to organize an evacuation. Students were moving toward the exits, following the emergency protocols they had been taught, but was not thinking about evacuation. She was thinking about the people in Section 7. She pushed against the flow of students, moving toward the danger instead of away from it. Someone called her name. She did not stop. The corridors grew emptier as she ran. Warning signs flashed on every wall. Doors sealed behind her, trying to contain the disaster. But she kept moving, following the signs toward Section 7. She found waiting at the last unsealed door. I knew you would come, he said. There was no smile on his face now, only determination. The rescue teams will not reach them in time, said. The radiation is too high. The structural damage is too severe. I know. We have to help them. I know. They looked at each other for a moment. 2 humans from standing at the edge of a disaster that would kill any other species in minutes. Then they moved. The sealed door to Section 7 was thick and heavy, designed to withstand damage from starships. Hit it with her shoulder at full speed. The impact rang through the corridor like a bell. The door shuddered but did not break. She hit it again, and again, and again. On the fourth impact, the frame buckled. On the fifth, the door gave way. Inside, chaos waited. The lights were flickering. Smoke filled the air. Radiation warnings screamed from every panel. And on the floor, scattered across the damaged section, were students and instructors too weak to move. The students were the worst affected. Their transparent bodies were flickering, their light fading. The radiation was killing them faster than the others. Did not hesitate. She ran to the nearest group and began gathering them in her arms. 3 students at once. Small, delicate, weighing almost nothing to her muscles. Take them to the exit, she told. Keep them moving. I will get the rest. Nodded and ran, moved deeper into the damaged section. The radiation hit her like a wave of heat. She felt it on her skin, in her lungs, in her bones. It hurt, but Earth had prepared her for this. Humans had evolved under constant radiation from their sun. Their bodies knew how to survive it, not forever, but long enough. She found more students with cracked shells, whose light had gone dim. She carried them out 2 or 3 at a time, moving as fast as she dared without causing more damage. Ambassador appeared at some point. The older woman was slower than less strong, but she moved with the same determination. Together, the 3 humans worked through the disaster zone, pulling survivors from the wreckage. The structure groaned around them. Metal bent. Walls cracked. The gravity stabilizers were failing completely now, creating pockets where weight shifted wildly from crushing to nothing. Push through it all. She found Instructor trapped under a fallen beam. His wings were crushed, his compound eyes filled with fear, but he was alive. Hold still, she told him. I will lift it. You cannot, he gasped. It is too heavy even for you. Grabbed the beam. It was massive, made of reinforced metal designed to support the structure of the academy itself. It should have been impossible to move. She lifted it anyway. Muscles screamed, bones protested, but the beam rose inch by inch until there was enough space for Instructor to crawl free. Was there to help him move, guiding him toward safety. Dropped the beam, her arms shook, her vision blurred, but there were still more people to save. The last survivors were in the deepest part of Section 7, where the radiation was strongest. 3 young students huddled together, their light almost gone. They were so small, so fragile. Covered them with her own body as she carried them out. She shielded them from the radiation with flesh and bone, taking the damage that would have killed them instantly. When she finally reached the exit, the rescue teams were waiting. Medical staff rushed forward to take the survivors. Machines beeped and hummed as they began their healing work. Sat down against a wall. Her arms were burned. Her face was red and raw. Her lungs hurt with every breath. The radiation had done its work on her body. But she was alive. They were all alive. Sat beside her, equally burned, equally exhausted. Ambassador stood nearby, coordinating with the rescue teams, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. A medical technician approached with a scanner. The small being was trembling as it read the results. Your radiation exposure, it said, is twice the lethal dose for any known species. By standards, you should be dead. By standards, you should have died 3 times over. Laughed weakly. I'm just thirsty. Do you have any water? The technician stared at her. It did not seem to know how to respond. High Instructor arrived moments later. His crystalline body was dim with worry, but when he saw the 3 humans sitting against the wall, something changed in him. 47 students, he said quietly. 12 instructors, all of them safe, all of them alive because of you. Tried to stand, but her legs would not cooperate. She settled for nodding instead. We are from she said simply. We know what it means to survive, and we know that survival means nothing if we do not help each other." Was silent for a long moment. Then he did something he had never done before. He knelt beside her, lowering himself to her level, meeting her eyes directly. "I have lived for 500 cycles," he said. "I have seen wonders beyond counting, but I have never seen anything like you, like your people. You walked into death itself and pulled others out with your bare hands." "Anyone would have done the same," said. "No," replied, "they would not. That is what makes you different. That is what makes you human." He rose and turned to the rescue teams. "These three saved everyone," he announced, his voice carrying across the damaged section. "Remember this day, remember what they did, and remember that this is what humanity looks like." The gathered beings looked at the three humans, burned, exhausted, barely conscious, but alive, triumphant, unbroken. Closed her eyes, the pain was real, the exhaustion was crushing, but somewhere beneath it all she felt something warm. Pride. Not just for herself, for Ambassador, for all of humanity. They had shown the galaxy who they were. And the galaxy would never forget. The Great Hall of the Galactic Unity Academy had never been so full. Species from every corner of the galaxy filled the rising seats, floated in shimmering groups, their transparent bodies glowing with renewed light, sat in careful rows, their forearms folded in gestures of respect, pulsed with colors that spoke of joy and gratitude. Even the stone-skinned, ancient beings who rarely attended public events had sent representatives. At the center of the hall, a stage had been prepared. It was simple in design but powerful in meaning. This was where the Academy honored those who had changed its history. Stood backstage, her hands shaking slightly. The burns on her arms had healed. The radiation damage had been treated by the Academy's best medical technology. Physically, she was fine. But the scars she carried now were different. They were memories of darkness and fire, of students crying out in fear, of lifting beams that should have been impossible to move. She was not the same girl who had arrived at this academy 3 months ago. That girl had been uncertain, quiet, afraid of her own strength. The woman who stood here now understood what she was. And she was still learning what that meant. Appeared beside her. His face showed the same healing that hers did, but his smile was as wide as ever. "Nervous?" he asked. "Terrified," she admitted. "Good, me too. At least we can be scared together." Ambassador joined them. The older woman wore a formal uniform that marked her as an official representative of Earth. Her gray-streaked hair was pulled back, and her eyes held a warmth that made feel safe. "This ceremony is unprecedented," said. "In 3,000 cycles, the Academy has never created a new classification for anything. Not a course, not a species, not a concept, until today." "What does it mean?" asked. "The human standard, what does it really mean?" Smiled. "It means that you taught them something they did not know they needed to learn. It means that you showed them what is possible when strength serves compassion. It means that the galaxy will remember this day for a very long time." The music began. It was strange and beautiful, mixing instruments from a dozen different worlds into a single harmony. The curtains parted and walked onto the stage. The applause was deafening. It was not just sound, the pulsed with light, the clicked their shells in rhythm, the flared in cascading patterns of color. Each species expressed their appreciation in their own way, and together it was overwhelming. Walked to the center of the stage. Behind her, an ambassador took their places. Before her, the Council of 12 sat in a raised section, watching with solemn attention. Council head rose from his massive chair. His stone face was as unreadable as ever, but his burning eyes held something new, something that might have been respect. 3,000 cycles ago," he began, his voice echoing through the hall, "this academy was founded on a simple belief, that understanding between species was possible, that education could bridge the gaps between worlds, that learning together could create unity where separation had created fear. He paused, letting his words settle. For 3,000 cycles, we believed we understood what this meant. We welcomed species from across the galaxy. We taught them. We learned from them. We measured their abilities and defined their limits. We thought we knew everything there was to know about life among the stars. His burning eyes fixed on. We were wrong. The hall fell silent. When the humans arrived, we did not know what to expect. Their world is classified as a Category 9. Everything about it should have killed them. The gravity that crushes, the atmosphere that burns, the radiation that destroys, they should not exist, and yet they do. He gestured toward the 3 humans on the stage. We saw their strength and we were afraid. We saw their resilience and we were confused. We measured their abilities and found that our measurements were not adequate. They broke our scales. They exceeded our limits. They redefined what we thought was possible. Stepped down from his raised section and walked toward the stage. Each step shook the floor slightly. He was enormous, ancient, powerful beyond imagining, and he was approaching a young woman with respect in his eyes. 3 months ago, there was a reactor malfunction in Section 7. 47 students and 12 instructors were trapped. The radiation was lethal. The structural damage was severe. Our rescue teams could not reach them in time. He stopped at the edge of the stage, looking up at. You ran toward the danger. You broke through doors designed to withstand starship impacts. You carried survivors out with your bare hands. You shielded them with your own body, taking damage that would have killed any other being instantly. And when it was over, you asked for water. A ripple of sound moved through the hall, something between laughter and awe. You showed us something we had never seen before, something we did not know how to measure, something we did not have words for. He turned to face the gathered assembly. Until now. High Instructor rose from his seat and approached the stage. In his crystalline hands, he carried 3 objects that glowed with soft light, medallions of some kind, made of materials did not recognize. The Academic Council has created a new classification, announced. It is not a measure of physical strength, though humans possess that in abundance. It is not a measure of endurance, though humans exemplify that beyond all expectation. It is a measure of something we did not know could be measured. He placed the first medallion around her neck. It was warm against her skin. The human standard is a measure of compassion in the face of danger. It is a measure of the willingness to exceed one's own limits for the sake of others. It is a measure of what it means to be truly alive. He placed medallions around her neck and Ambassador's neck as well. You 3 are the first to bear this honor, but you will not be the last. From this day forward, the human standard will be part of this Academy's core curriculum. Every student will learn what it means. Every species will understand its value. Step back, Council head nodded slowly. The structure of this institution is not merely physical, said. It is philosophical. It is the foundation upon which we build understanding between worlds. And you, of Earth, have shown us that our foundation was incomplete. He bowed. It was a full bow, deep and meaningful, reserved for those considered equals in every way. You have redefined our limits. You have expanded our understanding. You have taught us that the impossible is sometimes simply something we have not seen before. Stood in the center of the stage, overwhelmed and uncertain. The applause had returned, louder than before. The lights pulsed. The sounds echoed. The entire galaxy seemed to be celebrating. And she did not know what to say. So she spoke from her heart. I did not come here to prove anything, she said, her voice carrying across the silent hall. I came here to learn. I came here because I dreamed of the stars when I was a child. I came here because I wanted to understand what lived out there among the lights in the sky. She looked at the faces around her. So many species, so many worlds, so many stories she had never heard. I think maybe we are all learning together now, humans and all of us from all our different worlds trying to understand each other, trying to find common ground across the emptiness of space. She touched the medallion around her neck. The human standard is not just about humans. It is about what we can be when we work together, when we help each other, when we refuse to let distance and difference divide us. She smiled, and it was a real smile, warm and genuine. Earth taught us to survive. This academy is teaching us to live. I hope. I hope we can teach each other something just as valuable. The applause erupted again, but this time did not feel overwhelmed. She felt connected, part of something larger than herself, part of a galaxy that was learning, growing, changing. After the ceremony, she stood on a balcony overlooking the academy. The stars stretched out before her, countless and beautiful. Stood beside her, an ambassador leaned against the railing nearby. "What happens now?" asked. "We keep learning," replied. "We keep growing, we keep showing them who we are." "And who is that?" asked softly. Thought about the question. She thought about Earth, with its crushing gravity and burning atmosphere. She thought about her grandmother's cooking and her father's laugh. She thought about the students she had saved and the instructors she had helped. "We are survivors," she said finally. "We are dreamers. We are the ones who looked at the stars and decided to meet them." She turned to face her friends, her family, her fellow humans. "And now the stars are looking back at us. Let us make sure they like what they see." The three of them stood together on the balcony, watching the universe unfold before them. Three humans from standing at the edge of history, wondering what tomorrow would bring. Whatever it was, they would face it together. And the galaxy would never be the same.